Hey everyone, how's everyone doing tonight? So good to be with you guys. Let's see who we got here in the house tonight. We've got Beach Bum, Debbie Light, Justice Janney, Sandra Chapman, Deborah Chase, Andrea Watkins, Kim Conley. It looks like we got a pretty good crew here tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. What I thought I would do is do a kind of a part two concerning the missing woman from Colorado, Marlena Mizell. We're going to do kind of a part two. And the reason I wanted to do this, because I didn't feel like I was able to get to all the points that I wanted to get to the first time around, number one. Number two, I really want Sarah, the daughter, to paint a picture for us of who Marlena is and what kind of a mom she is and what her life is like and everything like that, so we can kind of get to know her a little better and a little more about her as we continue to search for her up there in South Fork, Colorado. So aloha to you, Mountain Mama Nirvana, and aloha to all of our people who are joining us from Hawaii or all over the world. We got another one there, Chelsea Lynn. Aloha to you. And hello, Mister. We've also got people coming in here in Spanish. Hola to Amber E. So whatever language you're speaking tonight, hello, aloha, hola. We love every single one of you guys, and we're grateful that you're here tonight. So we even got my Aunt Joyce here tonight. Hi, Joyce. She's tuning in from Prescott Valley, Arizona. And also my mom is there at her house too. Carolyn H., I'm looking for you, so don't feel bad if I can't find you in here. Thank you to Garden Girl. If I look a little different today, I don't know how many of you guys knew this, but I'm actually a high school teacher here in Arizona. So every once in a while, I clean up. Not very often these days, though. So thank you. Anyway, I thought we'd get right into the discussion tonight. I do have Sarah here with us. She is the daughter of Marlena Mizell, the missing woman from South Fork, Colorado. We're going to be going through some questions tonight and giving her a chance to fill us in on some details of who her mom is, what she's about, what the situation was when she went missing, and things like that. So I'm going to give you guys a chance also to ask questions like I always do, make comments, things like that. So hello from Frozen, Texas. Yes, I was just having this conversation backstage with Sarah. She's also in Texas, and she was telling me all about that. And as a matter of fact, I think I'll bring her on right now. Sarah, if you're ready, give me a thumbs up. All right, here we go. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right, getting the kids settled so we can try to do this, but hopefully we'll do it without any interruptions or toddler sounds in the background.
Hey, you know what? Even if they come walking in, man, we welcome kids. We love kids, and if they want to join us, they can too. I actually heard your husband back there too. If he wants to come on, say a few things, he's welcome to do that as well.
We'll see.
So I'm so glad that you're coming back on here. This is the second time this week. Thank you, Sarah. And I know that you reached out to me through email a couple of times or text messages and letting me know that there has not really been any updates because it's only been a couple of days. But I felt like there was a lot of pertinent information that maybe we could talk about in regards to who your mom was, or I say was, who your mom is,
Yeah.
You know, and excuse me for saying that, but
I actually am struggling with that myself. It's a really odd situation of like what to say in different sentences. So
yeah, and I always try to say it in the present tense, and I apologize. That was a slip. But who your mom is, you know, and who she was, you know, when you were growing up and things like that. So you were able to send me a bunch of pictures today. Do you mind if I just kind of start going through those and then we can talk about them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the one I wanted to start off with is this will kind of paint a picture of who your mom is and kind of give us a little bit of her personality and the type of grandmother that she is. You guys were telling me the other night that she's an amazing grandmother. Check this out.
Mimi loves her pretty boy. Oh my God. I'm doing a video.
Okay, all right, that's enough. Getting too much on the floor, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that video make you feel watching that? Is that who your mom is and what she's about?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes the emotions that I've been trying to keep in come out whenever I see, the memories. But that's what she does. She just did it. She would just get them all and throw them in the bath and get them together and just, throw them into wagons and play with them and swing them. And, she was just always going. She had a hard time being still, like me. And she just was always active doing crafts with them. When she, whenever the kids would come over, like she had a whole craft area. She did scrapbooking, even though it's like outdated. She didn't care. She loved, pictures and stuff. And so, she would just have all her craft stuff out for the kids to play with and paint. And, it was just that very like idea of like what you would want that, the grandmother to do with the kids whenever she did have the time. So yeah, very active in their lives.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And that's kind of, like I said, that's kind of what I want to do tonight. I want to ask some questions too, that maybe some of the people that are following this case that they may have, and now have an opportunity to ask, but, we can put some of these things to rest. We can kind of start painting a picture of who your mom is. So, here's the first question I want to ask you. Do you think your mom could have ran off somewhere and doesn't want to be found?
No, because number one, she had plans to come back to Texas, if something didn't work out there for them to stay. She wanted to be closer to her grandkids, and a day before she went missing and the day of her going missing, both my sister and I talked to her, and she, told us, we kept asking her, like, what y'all's plans, did y'all find a place to rent or anything yet or whatever? We were trying to figure out what she was doing. And she was very adamant about letting us know like what their plans were and, where they were going to be going, or if they were going to end up coming back to Texas. So, there wasn't any like unsteadiness in her voice or anything showing that she was like making that up. And also our mom even when she was upset about things or in the relationship or anything else, she would call us and let us know what she was doing, or like, if she just needed to go for a drive and have time to herself or whatever. And just try to stay active with us and, in her relationship with her daughters, and my brother. But yeah, I mean, she just would not have gone out for days or without her phone or anything else without, trying to talk to us about it. Or give us the details. She also wasn't someone who was like into partying or anything anymore. Like she was trying to settle down and be a grandmother. She just wanted to have a house where she could have all of them over and play with them like y'all saw her doing. So she wasn't trying to have this like crazy wild life anymore, and just have a home with her grandkids. Like that's all she wanted. That's all she's wanted for like the past few years or so. And that's what she still wanted to work towards. So she wouldn't have given up and just left, without saying anything.
Right. Okay. So this picture I have up on the screen, is that it? Is that you? That's at your wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful picture.
Thank you.
It seems like a very active mom, very active in your guys' lives. So the other question I have is, if your mom could hear you right now, if she's somehow watching this video, what would you say to her right now?
That I would make sure to put pictures that she approved of. If you knew my mom, you know why. She would be the one sitting there going, not this one. And I could just like when I'm picking out the pictures and I'm like, well, it is really pretty to me, but she would be upset, but I think that she would be proud of us for doing so much, and she would be just happy that like, people were willing to fight this much for her, and like people that don't even know her were willing to, put her information out there and try to find her. And yeah, I mean, I think that she would feel loved, and I think that's one of the only things that she's ever wanted in her life. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So, one of the things that I was hoping to do tonight was bring on a couple of guys that have been helping you, a couple of other YouTube creators, because I know they have been out to that area and they've actually been searching. They went down into Dulce, New Mexico with you guys. Now, I want to just make sure, because I was looking at the map earlier. Did you guys also say that you went all the way over to Farmington, New Mexico?
It was Bloomington.
Oh, Bloomington. Okay.
No, sorry, Bloomfield. Okay.
Oh, Bloomfield. Okay.
Something like, yeah, Bloomfield. It's like, so I guess like that's the next actual like city where there's gas stations. And that would be like around 3 hours from South Fork. We actually went there probably like 2 times or so, just trying to map out the coordinates and try to get like more of an exact pinpoint.
Okay. Well, yeah, the reason I asked is because I thought you said Farmington, and it was quite a ways over there, but if it was Bloomfield. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But I wasn't able to get that footage, because those other creators, they want to use it for some of the stuff that they're doing, which is totally fine. And I totally understand that. But could you just tell us a little bit more about that location where her phone pinged? What was it like? Was it just out in the middle of nowhere? I mean, is it a dirt road? Is it off? Where is it?
So the area that's actually the area that we walked on foot and did searches at with some of the police out there and the community of people. And it's a place where it's a lot more flat. So once you start going into New Mexico, it starts to get a little flatter. There's like hills, but they're not like, the huge mountains that you saw like 30 miles or so back. And it's off of the road, you could see anything basically. I mean, it's just shrubs all over the ground. And then you have hills way far off. But basically you would see like an immediate, like if a car was on the side of the road, not a lot of cars break down out there because most of the people that live out there know that there's no gas stations, or they even would carry gas cans, honestly. But it's just deserted. There's no gas stations. There's no convenience stores once you pass Dulce. And you're just walking like miles of land where, if there was something out there, unless it was really small, you would spot it pretty easily. But it is out in the middle of nowhere. Nothing either way, probably like 30 minutes to an hour. And just not anywhere that someone would go in their right mind if they had no idea what the area was like, basically, because it's kind of scary. And in the dark, I couldn't imagine, because it would be pitch black. You would have to know the area to want to try to drive that way, or have looked up it before you actually went out there. And there was no results or anything on her phone other than the direct route leading out there, but nothing that she Googled or information where she was trying to like go that direction either.
Right. So. Oh yeah. And that's one thing that caught my attention the last time we spoke. You guys had mentioned that you feel like her phone probably traveled out there, but she did not. What caused you guys to believe that, or to come to that conclusion?
Well, first of all, like it wasn't like completely out of my brain. Like I was still trying to look through all possibilities, like my mom maybe going out that way, until we actually went out there ourselves and we're like, We get like 30 minutes out of Pagosa and we're like, no way. There is no way that she would, number one, travel this way, but number two, without having her charger that she always had in her car, going out that way to where her phone wouldn't die. And it's also went out in the middle of nowhere. Everything's closed because of COVID. The casinos aren't open over there. And the only area that she really ever went to outside of South Fork was Pagosa. And the route literally shows it going this way straight, which means whoever took the phone out there, in my opinion, had to have gone straight from South Fork to that middle of nowhere point and turned the phone off in a deserted area, because there's just no reason for her to go that way. I mean, we know our mom, and it did take us, still even knowing her, to go out there, see the physical land, see a layout, see the distances. And when you put all that together and you also know that person's profile, that information about that person and all their like routines and predictableness, really, with my mom, you would know.
Right.
That's one thing that I think that a lot of people don't have, those, like, they don't know her like we do in that point. That doesn't make us have a biased opinion, but it does help us to know she wouldn't have gone out there by herself or with her own will.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was curious on that. And so what you guys were saying is that she wouldn't have gone out there like in her own free will and of her own free will and choice.
Right.
There's no way, because she could have went through Pagosa Springs. She could have went the other way. Yeah. Now, so let's assume, Sarah, that she did travel against her will, towards Pagosa Springs. Now, I've been that way many times, and I know that as you get up through there, Wolf Creek Pass, you're going to be going through the little tunnels that they have up there.
Right. Yeah.
And they have a ski resort up there, and they have these cameras along the way. Now, have you guys had a chance to check those cameras, or has law enforcement?
That was actually the first thing that I asked them whenever they called. Of course, I was thinking about my mom being missing, but I was also thinking of like what they needed to do. So I started, whenever I asked him, I was like, what cameras have y'all checked? Then my sister found out that they did have those cameras right there. Apparently those cameras don't work completely. Oh. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Oh. The thing is we were able to rule out there being an accident or anything else because we got the information stating from the warrants that the phone went past where you would not be able to see a wreck easily, because once you go down those mountains, cars get missing there for a while, and it's happened. Mm-hmm. But those things are ruled out with having the phone go past that way. But we had them check the cameras in Bloomfield. The second week we went, we started trying to go to every single place. The ones in Pagosa, which were a little bit too far. The ones in South Fork were there, but they were not working, and that's where she was last seen. I mean, talk about frustration after frustration.
Oh, that seems to be the case.
We have tried to mark all off, and the ones in the opposite direction weren't even checked. So we had to really push for a lot of that stuff to get done, and we had to get the numbers of the gas stations ourselves. We had to get the Pagosa police information. We had to call the Pagosa police and have them go to the gas stations, but then they still needed to call South Fork to get approved. And so, it was honestly a nightmare with that, but they were able to check what few cameras there were, and they didn't see anything. And going through that area, they would have had to stop at a gas station of some sort. And so they either weren't in my mom's car, which would have been pretty obvious, or the phone was just taken out there, and then they just turned back around and nobody saw them. So there's any proof of her vehicle going that direction either.
Well, yeah. Basically everything that I heard Megan saying the other night, Megan Butler, was that she saw her leaving the Rainbow Lodge.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to remember, because it's been a while since I've been up in that area, but if she were to head towards Pagosa, Are there businesses past, or do you just immediately go up into the hills, right, or into the mountains? I can't remember. Right? Is there any businesses that would have caught her in either direction?
So as soon as you get out of the mountains and you're starting to enter Pagosa, the only like quote unquote businesses is like the cabin places, which don't have anything. And then there's a restaurant, but she didn't pass that yet. So like it goes to that little square area, you know, where you can walk down to the shops and there's the springs and stuff, but it didn't show it going into that area. It just showed it literally turning. So there's like almost that little fork. Just going straight, you would go into Pagosa.
Right.
And going curving off this way, that takes you right into New Mexico. Okay.
Now to me, that sounds pretty sinister right there, because if a person were trying to hide or to hide somebody or hide a car or whatever to get away, that would be the route, right? That'd be the natural route. Instead of veering off into Pagosa Springs, they would end up way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that place, I looked at the map, and I apologize, guys. I thought I had it loaded up here, but it's close to Chama, New Mexico. It's right as you come across the border, and it's desolate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's concerning. That's concerning to me. Now, but I would be really shocked if they didn't have her car or her or something on surveillance somewhere, you know, whether she went north or south or east or west or whatever, you know, there's got to be something. And, you know, I remember a couple years ago, I had a neighbor of mine. He was a 22-year-old kid that went missing, and it was the same type of thing. I had to go talk to the gas stations, and I dug some stuff up on that case and presented it to law enforcement. And I think it sat on their desk for a good 3 weeks before they even took it seriously and looked at it, you know. And so I'm not saying they're not doing their job. I'm just saying that sometimes it falls on us, you know, the responsibility. And it's good that you have, you know, AK, Gonzo, myself, other people, their team, people that are out there beating the bushes and trying to turn stuff up. But the longer this goes, I'm afraid that a lot of these businesses, that they use these security systems were it will record over. Have you guys ran into any of that already?
Yeah, we did with some. Surprisingly, a lot of them were able to go back. Some of the main ones that we needed were not able to, because there's actually a really big gas station place in Dulce that we waited a good like 2.5 weeks to get an answer back to see if, you know, and the guy was really trying to work on it. It's just owners apparently are like at their places and then not for weeks. I don't know. So they had to wait for that. And when they finally got back to us, it was like, there's nothing there. And these cameras were huge. I mean, you could tell they were like way better high tech. We could see them from the road, and it pointed right there on the only road that you would have been able to go on.
Really?
And there was nothing. But yeah,
really?
Waiting, it did cause a lot more issues, because a lot of the places even in Bloomfield were worried about that, or, you know, they have to go through all these chains of command to get it. And so it's already a process. So if you start like 3 weeks after, I mean, you can almost just say, forget it.
I know. And that's crucial. I mean, we're getting into this stage now where I'm getting worried that these crucial pieces of evidence with the surveillance video and stuff like that is going to start disappearing.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering how that has been going. If you guys have had any luck requesting it from anybody. Do you guys have any surveillance whatsoever from anybody?
We did, but like the ones in Pagosa, they're like a little bit further when you get like actually into town where stuff starts, and there's two right across from each other. They were able to get them, but there was nothing on it, and it didn't point out close enough. I mean, a lot of these show the parking lot, but the thing about that is like I said, and I cannot like stress this enough, if you saw people on cameras with gas cans because, you know, they didn't want to see their car seen or whatever, or just like odd stuff like that, you know, and then that car happens to be from South Fork or whatever, then that would be something to look at. But we can't even get that, because it was a pain just to ask for it to be done, not necessarily by the gas station people, but because the department that was working on it somewhat, like the CBI had to get it cleared by them because they haven't handed it over to the CBI. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was just like this like back and forth thing. And we're
Yeah.
saying these cameras are right here. These cameras are right here. Like these are the list of ones that we've gone to and asked the managers about. And once that, was over, we had to wait for them to decide they were going to do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just didn't have enough men to be checking the cameras. And they had to clear the Dulce police to do it as well, which they were totally willing to check anything they could.
Right.
It was just this whole mouse chase,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just, it's all the different protocols and procedures that that they have. They don't want to step on each other's toes, and this and that. And so it's unfortunate too, but that's just the society that we live in. But, the other good question that I saw pop up in the comments last time was, have you guys had a chance to reach out to any divers? I know there's several groups out there, search and rescue groups like Adventures with Purpose or some of the other ones that check bodies of water. Have you guys had a chance to reach out to anybody like that?
I know, like, as far as the New Mexico area, they had like the game and fish people or whatever, but we haven't had any divers anywhere. There's a few bodies of water that are in New Mexico and maybe further out from South Fork, because a lot of those areas are super frozen for like all those weeks. They probably still are, but I called like almost every search and rescue that I was given information for within the first week or so. And a lot of them were not able to help us because they didn't have enough evidence, basically. Sorry, I need to move my computer. But
you're good.
But they just, all of them were telling us that they didn't have enough details, they didn't have enough evidence and things like that. And so it didn't matter even when we got the closer coordinates, we still couldn't get anyone out there to help us out. So
battery dying.
Yeah, there it is. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm just glad you got it before you cut out.
But yeah, we have tried though a lot to get, those people involved. And then even there was a fire rescue team or whatever in near South Fork, because one of the firemen that we talked to put up drones and stuff, he's part of the rescue team out there, and they just didn't seem like they had as much information as they would want, even when we got more direct coordinates, because that was on reservation land or whatever. But nothing was still done from then. Like, it was just sort of like, we can go out there and search ourselves with the community of people, and that's all we could do. So yeah, we just haven't gotten much of anywhere that I would expect to try to get from that. But
has your mom ever disappeared before in the past?
No.
Never.
She's had like rough days or whatever, or like she's, wanted to maybe like get out and come stay with us so she could just get out of the house or whatever. And she'd bounce back and forth from my sister and I's, or, stuff like that. But she's never just like vanished, out of nowhere and decided she just, wanted to start a new life or something.
Right. One of the things I saw also in the comments was, maybe when she heard about this affair that we had talked about last time, and I won't get into it a lot. If you guys that are watching haven't heard that, you can go watch the last video that we did. Yeah. That maybe she just kind of blew a gasket and was like, you know what, I'm out of here, because people do crazy things under those kind of circumstances. I mean, it can be mind blowing. Well, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's even in the realm of possibility?
I don't think so, because even if she was like frustrated about it or even knew what was going on, if anything, she would have just said, honestly, screw it, and came back here and, stayed with one of us until we could get, her set up with something or, whatever. But she would have came up with another solution, because that's just something else about her. This isn't like her first go around with, going through a hard time.
Right.
Someone, kind of taking advantage of her, to be honest. And so, she always would try to come up with something like better to do. And, just wouldn't be like her to just completely lose it. And she was just on such a different path, because even with all the stuff that was going on, like she was still like trying to go to the church there. She always found a church in town to go to and all that kind of stuff, because when everything else was going chaotic, she would have some stability somewhere that would keep her, thinking about doing the right thing. And she's just always had a good, compassionate, serving heart, not perfect, but her gift was serving other people and doing for others. And she would just have wanted to come back here and be with us. So.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to look at some of the questions here from our subscribers. Do you care if I turn the time over to them? I won't keep you on here too much longer, Sarah. I appreciate you getting on here.
Yeah, it's really a normal thing at that age, 4-year-olds and sleep time. So,
yeah. Now
was my poor mom.
And you were telling me too that you guys are all frozen over there in Texas. But it looks like obviously your power is on and stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely blessings with that, because we haven't had any issues other than, everybody just kind of happened to stay home. So
yeah, that's been rough. I was reading earlier, like 4 million people were without power over there, man. My heart goes out to you guys over there. Yeah. Man, I hate to break it to you, but it was like 65 here in Arizona today, man. It was nice.
That sounds great.
Okay, Beach Bum, I'm going to pull this one up right here. What do you think about this? Could storage units be a possibility, barns, etc.? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so that's also something else that I thought of around the first week, because I saw how many like garages and things they had in Colorado. And just in South Fork itself, like everybody out there, kind of owns one, because whatever. But I definitely think that it's a possibility that they took the car and pulled it right into somewhere that they could hide for quickly, because whatever happened was quick. I mean, she was at this location at 12 something, phone went off at, 2:30. I mean, that gives someone like what, maybe 3 hours or whatever to figure this all out. So right. The most logical thing that I came to is, yeah. And there is storage buildings there too. I mean, they may have to like know someone if the car was being pulled into there. I don't know how that works necessarily. But it seems like with the time and the timeline of everything, how quick it was, that whether she was with the car or not, to hide a whole car that quickly and for it not to be seen any direction. Yeah. I mean, very highly likely. And that's really one of my top, thoughts on the vehicle anyways.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Here's another one from R.U. Speakman. Was she upset when she left? Could she have gone off the road?
All the areas from South Fork to Pagosa have been checked. And also the phone was like mapped out where you could see it going past the mountainsides. That would be harder to check. And in New Mexico, it's a lot easier to see if a car went off the road. The other direction is all pretty flat. And that would have also been like very noticeable to see a car go off the road. So we've kind of marked off most of that. And as far as her being upset, she was pretty calm. Like, after talking to my sister, which was after a sort of debacle that she got into that day, she just still continued packing and was just kind of going along with things. And so even with the drama, she just didn't seem like she was like, just a mess or manic, like all over the place. She just seemed like she was done with that situation that was going on, and she was just going to get the stuff done for the day, maybe take a break. My thought of knowing my mom is she likes to listen to music. She needs her alone time, and she would have maybe tried to drive, and just have that for a little bit, and something, cut her off.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And you guys know your mom better than anybody on this planet. So, and plus, you know, your own intuition, you know, so that's why I wanted to get you on here and hear it directly from you guys, because we can sit and speculate all day long, but hearing it from you is way more powerful. So
because you can kind of cut down some of those details that a lot of people have questions about, because when I run it through my mind, which was a good 2 weeks before we got as much people on this, like all those possibilities were constant, and that's just sort of how my brain works. It's just going. And so when you know the person and you're able to connect those details, you can just take off a lot of the stuff that doesn't seem, you know, as logical to have been going on in this situation.
Right. Okay, here's another one from Alyssa Quesada in New Mexico. Thank you, Alyssa, for joining us tonight. She says, I live in New Mexico. You need any posters up in Albuquerque?
Yeah, I mean, the flyers you're able to print out, you can do that. It just gets more people aware, and we'd appreciate if you did that. Thanks for asking about it.
Yeah, one of the things that your sister Megan had emailed me or texted me right away was how does she get in touch with these people? Like, it's one thing for people to get on here and say, you know, do you need anything, posters hung up in Albuquerque, stuff like that. Can you give us an email that they can reach out to you? Would you be comfortable giving your email out where people can reach out directly to you, so I'm not like a middleman?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
I have had a couple since the last video, and that shows how helpful this really is. I've had people that really listen to the statement, you know, that I made about that, and they're sending me the emails. They're getting the information, just giving it to me, and then I can just send them, you know, all out kind of the same similar type email, and that just helps us with a lot of the stress and things. So I really appreciate, you know, the people that did that and that are already kind of working on that. And
okay,
yeah.
What is your email, if you don't mind saying it right here on live?
Yeah, it's fine. It's Sarah, Sarah, and that's Ferguson, Ferguson 1003 at yahoo.com. That's the one that I use most of the time.
Okay.
So.
And I have that too. And if I remember, and I'll try to make a note of it here to put it down in the link as well, or put a link to it. Here's a question that I know a lot of people are going to have, and it's kind of a touchy question, but I would like to know your opinion on this as well, Sarah. It says, this is from TS Jackson 72. Do you think the mistress could have something to do with her disappearance, in your opinion?
Yes. I don't really know much else to say about that, but I mean, you know, like I just, and you know, I don't know this person, but there you go, you know, so. And I'm not judgmental towards people, but the situation as it is, you can't leave something out like that. When all this is going on and the fiance was to be seen and everything for the most part that day and his whereabouts, and there's just too much details that are pertinent to the case that have to do with her, you know, with this person. And, you know, like I said, I don't know them personally or anything, but this is just, it's too obvious to leave out.
Right.
She wouldn't have anything to do with it. And then there's just also, like, I guess, information that we don't necessarily have ourselves, but as far as we know, like, there was a group of people, and a lot of their whereabouts, including hers, are not 100% confirmed. And that definitely needs to be looked at more. That definitely needs to be questioned over and over again until someone spills their guts out and gives us the truth.
Absolutely. That's the first thing we need to nail down, is where her and this supposed, whoever it was, the boyfriend, husband, fiance, this guy that was in this community corrections.
Yeah.
We need to nail down where they were at what times. And, you know, what I've been able to look into so far, there's a little bit of discrepancy there. So,
yeah. I mean, if it's there, it's, you know, if it's there and all the alibis check out and whatever, that's great. But no offense, that should be already past due of figuring out. And been able to figure out that much as people who don't even have the tools and capabilities to get into any of that information, just from
Right.
word of mouth from other people that know this stuff. So if we can figure out that much by doing it that way, then, other people that have those capabilities would already have that information. That is a little bit nerve-wracking to me. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
she went to the New Hope Church. It was like a little bit going towards out of town, the opposite direction, I believe. It was like a white little church on somewhat of a driveway thing that you had to go up into. But if you just look up New Hope in South Fork, and I think AK and them have talked to them and everything, and the church is, I believe, helping to print out flyers and be helpful in the situation. So
Yeah.
thank you, AK.
Man, you gotta hand it to AK and Gonzo and those guys, man. Those guys are incredible. Getting out there, with the cold weather that we've been having and stuff.
Yeah.
They're out there with their boots on the ground. So I want to give a shout out to AK, Gonzo. I don't know who else is on their team these days, but those guys are awesome and they're doing great things.
Yeah, there's some good people, and I know they have females and other stuff, other people that do kind of like stuff that we've been doing on computers, and help work on the side. But there's been a lot of people out there that don't have the abilities to go and do what they're doing, but they're still doing what they can from where they're at, whether that's like putting up different flyers or like helping us make stuff to help just take some of the load off. And I mean, that just shows like there's so many good people still left in this world, with these situations, especially.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm looking over here. I'm going to pull up a couple more questions. If you guys have any more questions now's your chance to try to get here up on the screen. I'm trying to get as many as I can tonight. The chat's not going as fast as it normally does, which is actually nice because I can pull more questions up here. Gonzo, right back at you, bro. I have respect for you, man, for all the things that you're doing for Suzanne Morphew and for these guys.
Yeah.
My hat goes off. Let's see if I can find another question or two here, Sarah. Is there anything else you would like to add? Okay.
Yeah. Someone, Rue Speakman.
Okay.
My thoughts do you see that comment? My thoughts too, have Jeff and Donna been helpful?
Right there. Yeah.
Lives around there because I don't know how they would know their names. Anyways, to answer that question, no. And honestly, that's been a little bit odd to me as well, just because they're Kurt's like friends that he went to go work up there for, Kurt, aka the fiance. So you would think that they'd be supportive for him because, he lost his fiance, like she's disappeared and vanished. He's obviously like going through, rough time, even with all the crap that has gone on. He's still, suffering, if not even more because of the situation. And they haven't posted one thing on their Facebook page because, we're looking at everybody. And nothing's been posted, nothing's been shared with all the stuff that's gone out for the past 2 months. They haven't helped him with anything pertaining to the case. He's been on his own there as far as, when it first started. So it does kind of like point out to me that it's just odd because if they were like your friends for all this time, wouldn't they be trying to help? Even if they didn't like really care for her, which I think was the case, that doesn't matter because she's someone that he cares about.
Right.
So I don't know what was going on with that dynamic, but it seems just a little fishy in a sense to me. So
it does. It absolutely does. There's a lot of bizarre things surrounding this case that, maybe some of it will kind of fade away as we get more answers. But for right now, it looks very suspicious. Brenda Redmond is Kurt, her boyfriend. And I already know Kurt is her boyfriend, her fiance, whatever. But So what you're telling us now, Sarah, is that Kurt's behavior is in line with what it should be with his missing fiance, or have you guys seen some red flags with him?
To be honest, and I can relate to this as just being sort of all over sometimes. Like he's super scatterbrained. honestly not capable of doing something like this by himself anyways. There's just, whenever you, like I said, just knowing about the person, we've known him for like 8 years, and I like to really know people. But it's just, we didn't keep him out of like thinking that he did anything at first, but like there's just so much more evidence that he didn't. And with his behaviors, like he's naturally a charismatic person and stuff like that, but like he holds it in, you know. And it's starting to come out where he's just like depressed, and he's having a hard time doing more like of the work and everything else that he's supposed to be doing, because, you know, especially Valentine's Day passing and stuff, like I talked to him that day. And we still keep in contact with him. Like he was really active with our kids whenever that, you know, he was healthy and stuff and they were here. And him and my mom were doing well, but he still wants to be a part of the family. He still wants, you know, to be able to visit and things like that. And it's not like I can feel, I guess, the realness from what he's saying, other than just like it's a bunch of BS, so that we like stay on his side and don't look at him as being a suspect. It's not, it just doesn't seem like that. And if anything, maybe he has an idea of who could have done something, but he's
paralyzed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's just not right in the head right now. Who would be?
Right.
And like I said, with the extra guilt of what he had been doing too, and then this happens, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's a question that was asked by Nancy Penny. Is there any demolition car business? And then it looks like AK went ahead and answered that for us. And it says 4 crushers around there all are cooperating. So
yeah. And we called a bunch of junkyards the second week that we were down there. That was like one of the first days we actually watched a bunch of videos of things that you could do like in this situation. And ironically, we had already done like, you know, 5 out of the 6, and one of them was junkyards and calling all those. So we called every one of those in, you know, that general area and a little bit further out. And a lot of them would have had to tag the plate, and that was something that was out immediately. So a lot of stuff wasn't, or maybe wasn't done, but the plate for the car was, and it would have flagged. So
yeah.
That was a little comforting, because that's definitely something where a car could disappear. So
yep. Here's a good question. Well, first of all, Leah Vogel, thank you for being here. And she says, my kids are young, but I'd hope if anything ever happened to me, they'd have the tenacity these girls have to find their mom. And I'll tell you what, Sarah, a lot of these people that are here and commenting, we've been together for months and months. I recognize these names and these people here. Leah is one of them, who has covered the Suzanne Morphew case religiously. And a lot of this is coming out. You'll see this a lot. People talking about how wonderful you guys are, because you are, number one. But, you know, that was, it's just so refreshing to see you guys come out and look for your mom. You know, that was one thing that we were hoping with Suzanne Morphew.
Yeah.
And without veering off in that direction too much, I just want to say again that I commend you guys. And I know all these people here, these wonderful people that are here tonight, they feel the same way. So you guys are doing a terrific job.
I really appreciate that, because it's good to have that confirmation, because in these situations, I'll tell you one thing, you don't feel like it's ever enough. And
right.
You keep going, but you also have to take a break, and you have to have mental clarity, you know, and have moments where that's not just everything, especially when you have kids and other stuff like that. And so, you know, but we're still like continuing and, you know, still plan on going back there and stuff. But yeah,
yep.
It does take a lot out of you. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. And with everything else, I mean, with the lockdowns, with COVID, with the ice storm that you guys had, I mean, gosh, I can't imagine. You guys got a lot on your plate, but keep up the great fight.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Bridie Bell. Do you know what time your mother's phone pinged in Dulce? Was it daytime, nighttime? What was it?
So it was around 2:30 and PM. So it was like like we said, in the middle of the day. When she was last seen was in South Fork around 12:30 p.m. So if you distance and track that out, like you've got to drive straight there, like the phone showed either way. But yeah, it was in the middle of the daytime. I mean, that's just what is even more blows my mind is like, how does all this happen? I guess because there's nothing in between those places,
Yeah.
You
Oh,
want
yeah.
to do it. Well, that's the right spot. So,
Wow. It is. It's bizarre that it pinged out there, and then I guess a question I have is, once you guys got out there, did you see any fresh tracks, or did you guys find any like dirt that had been disturbed as far where somebody could have hid the phone, crushed it up? We saw a similar case, something like this in Colorado, actually, with Patrick Frazee, where the woman had taken the phone to Idaho and crushed it up and buried it up there. Did you guys see any dirt that might have been disturbed or anything like that out there?
No. So there was like a little bit of snow on like the right side of the highway, but and you would have seen if something really went on right there. But there was most of the snow was like all
Still
dry. I mean, it was all mostly gone. So it would have been easy to see, but we saw nothing. We looked in the drainages, things out there. I mean, like it had, people looking with flashlights and stuff, to see if anybody would have put something in the drains. 'Cause there's a few like every so often. But there was nothing in any of those areas, just no obvious signs. And like I said, there was a bunch of shrubs, like they're like just spotted all over right there. And we walked in between them. We looked under them. I mean, I found, bottles and a bunch of trash. There was pieces of like random cars that had wrecked there before, and people party out there too. So we found some random stuff of that, but nothing, no phone, no anything that was in the car either. Just nothing.
Yeah. I'm going to have to take a look at the map a little closer tonight and kind of see where that road leads to. Does it come down to I-40 where you can go to Albuquerque or back over to Gallup?
Is that, I believe so, because when you get into Bloomfield, there's an Albuquerque sign. So you go straight into Bloomfield and you can take a left, I believe, and that leads to Albuquerque. I'm pretty sure where those other two gas stations would have been.
Well, I'm gonna ask all my New Mexico people here tonight to be on the lookout for this car. I believe that it's my gut feeling. Take it for what it's worth. That your mom's car is probably somewhere in New Mexico, and I'm going to show a picture of it. This is the car, guys. If you didn't join us for the last one, this is the mom's car, Marlena's car. Here's another picture of it. You'll notice it says randallno.com on the back window. And it also is missing the hubcaps. And if you look at the brake light, the tail light, it's a weird shape. Take a look at that. It almost looks like a Ninja or something. Yeah,
it's a hatchback, so it's like kind of sporty, kind of grandma,
Yeah. So just think when you see a car like that, you'll notice that tail light, and you'll also notice the missing hubcap. So just lock that in your brain. Be on the lookout for that car.
Yeah.
Thank you, AK. You guys are fighters, and I want to remind everybody to, if you feel so inclined, go over and donate to their GoFundMe. You guys have that set up, right, Sarah? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So we started a GoFundMe. Let me see if I can get the information real quick. It's under Mission Find Marlena.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do is I will try to.
Yeah, sorry, it signed me out, so I was.
No, I'll remember. I'm still here at my office, so I'll remember. I'll make a note of it here to put it up for everybody to go to very easily. So, thank you, Gonzo. I don't know if that's another donation, Gonzo, or if it's the other one, but thank you to you and AK. Let's see. Let's take one more question, and then I'm going to end on another note. Sending love. A lot of people sending you love here.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
All right. The last question I have for you, Sarah, here is if let me see, I'm going to pull it up. Or what are the top 3 traits that you love about your mom?
I would say that she's a fighter, so I guess that's who we got it from. She's a server, and she always has been. She always has done for others. I mean, we grew up with her cleaning, churches and things like that, which may not seem much to people, but she cleaned the places that she worked in. She helped her friends and her family. She took care of her mom and the grandbabies, and she was just honestly kind of a silly, goofy person. She was crafty and could think of anything to make or do. I mean, she kept the kids busy. She just really didn't care what people thought of her, and just was herself, and she was learning how to be more and more of that. But she was all about family. And I don't think that even in her worst of times, that was still in the back of her mind was us. She always felt guilty, like she wasn't doing enough or wasn't enough for us. And I constantly reminded her that, she was. And, that she was good enough, because she was,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to tell you again, Sarah, that we'll do everything we can to help bring your mom home. I can tell by the pictures, and I'm glad that you sent those to me. I wanted to give everybody a chance to see those, to just kind of paint a picture of who your mom is, the kind of lady that she was, and the great heart that she has. And, I want to start getting a lot of eyes on this case and do what we can to help you guys. So that's all I have. Do you have anything else in closing?
Just thank y'all again, and thank you for, following the story, and just for having the compassion, because I know my mom would if it was someone else. And, in this situation, she had a lot of compassion for the hurt and the broken. And, I just appreciate that from everybody else. So thank you.
All right. And tell your sister, Megan, that we send our love and our concern.
Yeah.
And you guys, you both have my email, my cell phone number. If you guys need anything,
Yeah,
I told you this.
Actually, she's stuck out still at our grandmother's house. So just prayers for her to get back home safely, so that her and her son can, get back home.
Hey, who's that? What's her name?
Glitch. So I always make a joke about her being a glitch in the system, because I'm a nerd that way.
Oh, well, with the technical difficulties I've been having, I better take off with glitch showing up.
Yeah. But yeah, she just hopefully she'll be able to join us on one of these times, if she can get back to where there's service, because there's nothing out there. But
yeah. Well, I wanted her to know that I invited her on tonight too, and she's always welcome as well. And
yeah.
I want to thank, while I have everybody on here, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I see a lot of names that have been with me for months, and I appreciate you guys. I love you. I'm glad that we're on this journey together. It's really cool to go from the Suzanne Morphew case, and not that we've given up on that at all, but we're now covering some other cases, and it's like we got this big family, this big team of people, and I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you. So
yeah.
You're in good hands here, Sarah, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Stay safe and stay warm.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.